Hello children, let me welcome you to the virtual class of the Brihan Mumbai Mahanagar Palika. My name is Shraddha teacher. Children, we are in the middle of this COVID-19 pandemic, and because of that we are not able to go to school, but that doesn't mean we are going to stop learning. So we are going to do many lessons which are very interesting from your textbook through the virtual class here. So let us do a lesson in English today. So children, let us start with a lesson in standard 8th English, and the lesson is a really interesting one now. And the name of the lesson is 4.2 Revolutionary Steps in Surgery. Now, do you remember the lesson that we did last time? The name of the lesson was The Vet, and we talked about doctors, who deal with animals. Okay, so taking that lesson in medicine a little forward, we are going to talk about surgery today. And also, we are going to talk about the various revolutionary steps or the changes that have happened in surgery. So, while looking at the lesson, we will see a lot of comparison between the medical field in today's times and what it used to be in the ancient times. That is, did people used to do surgeries and operations in the ancient times also, or is it happening only now in the modern times? And if it was done in the ancient times, then what were the various methods that those people used? So all these things we will look at in this particular lesson. We will also see many important ideas, and we will look at many different terminologies in medicine and in science, and we will try and see the meaning of all these words as well. Okay, but before we go to the main part of the lesson, this time in the beginning of the lesson itself we have certain grammar exercises. So we will do that first, and then we will go to the lesson as per the flow in the lesson. So let us talk about the revolutionary steps in surgery. But before that, let us see what the meaning of surgery is. So here you have an actual picture of a surgery being conducted on a patient. So the doctors, when you are not well and when you go to the doctors, they try and treat you with medicines, or they try to give you injections sometimes, or they try to give you some kind of a physical therapy. So they try not to get into your bodies. Okay, but sometimes unfortunately when you have a major issue with your body, the doctors have to sometimes cut you up and then try and see what is happening inside your body. So they have to do something which is invasive. Okay, so they have to get into your body, and to get into your body they make these kind of cuts, and then they open your body up and the place where the problem is. Now for example, here you have, I think, the person's heart is exposed and the doctors are working on it. So there is not one person who will be there or one doctor who will be there when surgery is being conducted. It is done by a team of doctors. Okay, so this is what surgery is. Now surgery was not like this, children, in the ancient times or in the past. There was a lot of difference in the way surgeries were conducted in the past. That we will see and we will talk about when we come to that part in the lesson. Now we will start by doing an exercise in your warming up part of the lesson. Now in the first exercise in the warming up part, they've asked you to discuss in your class with your other friends or your co-students as to, do you like science and what are the advantages of learning science, and is science useful to you. Okay, and how can we make robots which are there in certain fields now in science, can we make use of them in our daily lives also? So you are supposed to get into a discussion like this. Now we cannot do any live discussions here, children, because of the video format. So what I will do is, I will leave you to discuss this with your brother, your sister, or your parents at home. And by the time you finish reading and understanding this lesson, you will also realize whether you have an interest in all this. So this is a very important lesson. If you find all this fascinating, if you find all this really interesting and it holds your attention, that means you can definitely try to become a doctor in the future. Okay, so you have a great career going if you become a doctor. So come on, let us see how you deal with a personal problem related to surgery. So the second exercise in your warming up part, they've asked you to imagine that one of your family members or friends or classmate has undergone a surgery. And now you were curious and you wanted to know what all things happened. So now you will ask certain questions and you will get some answers also. So let us try to match the questions with the answers. So now we are going to imagine that one of our friends has undergone a surgery and you're going to ask him certain questions and he has also given certain answers. So let us try to match the questions with the answers. Now, whenever there is an exercise like this, children, I would advise you to pause the video and try to find out the answers yourself, because I'm not able to ask you questions, isn't it? Then you can come back and check your answers with mine. So, what is the first question here? What health problem did you suffer from? So, what was the health problem? He had fractured his ankle while playing hockey. Now, hockey is a very interesting game. It is a national game of India. But if you are not careful, then the hockey stick could be very injurious. You try to target the ball and you might target someone's ankle. So, the boy or your friend had fractured his ankle when he was playing hockey. So, the next question you ask him is, whom did you inform about it first? Now, he was playing hockey, he was playing on the ground probably. So, whom did he talk to about it first? He told or called his hockey coach and he told him, Sir, see, I'm injured and my ankle is paining. How or what type of doctor did you consult? Now, see, there are different kind of doctors, children. If you have a problem with your eye, then you go and consult an ophthalmologist. If you have your grandfather, grandmother at home and they have problems with their heart is weak, you go and consult a cardiologist. Okay, if there is some problem with your brain, you go and consult a neurologist. Now, here the problem was with the bone in the ankle. So then if there is a problem with your bone, then what kind of doctor will you go to? So he says that he consulted an orthopedic surgeon. So an orthopedic surgeon is a person who deals with your musculoskeletal system in your body. That is your muscles and your bones, mainly your bones. How did he or she find out that you needed surgery? So how did he know that you have a major issue in your ankle? How did he find out? So the doctor took an X-ray of my ankle and he found that there is a fracture in my ankle. Fracture means what? There is a crack or there is a break in the bone. That is called as a fracture. And you know, when there are fractures, they set the fractures and they also then put your hand or your leg in a kind of a cast so that you do not disturb that bone and you let it heal. And now you're asking out of curiosity, what precaution was done before the surgery? So what kind of precautions were done before the surgery? I was given a bath and I wore a surgical gown. Now what is a surgical gown? You cannot wear your jeans and t-shirt and get on the operation table, okay? The hospital gives you a particular kind of a dress which is called as a gown. And it is called as a surgical gown if you have to go in for a surgery or an operation. The next question is, what did you feel when you were taken to the operation theatre? So when someone takes you to the operation theatre, what do you think you will feel? Are you going to watch a movie in a movie theatre? No, you're going to a place where someone is going to, maybe they're going to cut you up. So how will you feel? So the friend was very nervous. He says, I was very nervous. What was the first step before the actual surgery? So before they start cutting you up, what do you think? If you have a small nick on your hand or your finger using a knife, it pains, isn't it? It stings. So imagine someone cutting your stomach or cutting your leg. Do you think you will be able to bear the pain? So then how do they help you to bear the pain? So they give you an injection of anesthesia. So there are doctors who specialize in anesthesia. So they give you some kind of injections. They give you some kind of medicines which will make you lose all, you can say, senses. Okay, it will feel as if you are in deep sleep. And by the time the surgery is over and everything, you will regain. So did you feel any pain during the surgery? So do you think after giving anesthesia you will have any kind of pain? So the friend says, no, I did not feel anything. I was fast asleep. What did you feel when you opened your eyes after the operation? So after you open your eyes, how do you feel? So I was relieved and happy that the operation was over. So even when you go to take an injection, we get so scared, we get so worried, isn't it? We start preparing ourselves mentally even before we go to take an injection. So now this is a surgery. So once it is over, just imagine you go to the doctor to take a shot, you go to take an injection, and once the injection is over, you feel so happy, isn't it? Oh, thank God it is over. So in the same way, he was relieved and also happy that the operation was over. And how soon did you recover? That is, how fast were you able to come back to your normal life? So I recovered and I could walk normally after 3 weeks. So in a way, children, this is about understanding a surgery. That is why a surgery is required. In case you have an accident or a problem which cannot be fixed with medicines, then you're supposed to have a surgery. And for a surgery, you're supposed to go to a specialist doctor. Okay, and then the specialist doctor will do an x-ray, or will do a, you can say, CT scan, or they will do an MRI or a sonography in order to understand what is wrong with you. And then they will decide the date for the surgery, and then they will take precautions by giving you a bath, etc. And then you will be given anesthesia, and then operation will be done. Okay, and you will not feel any pain, you will not feel any kind of discomfort. So you should never worry too much if you are supposed to have a surgery done. Okay, so this is like a preparatory for the lesson before you learn about the different types of surgeries, etc. Now, like I said, children, we have certain exercises in grammar right at the beginning of this lesson. So let us tackle them first, and then we will move on and see what the lesson wants to tell us. So we have learned that sentences may have 2, 3 or more sets of subject plus predicate. So we have learned about sentences, children, and we know that sentences have a subject and a predicate. And these subjects and predicates are joined using a conjunction. So today we are going to talk about subject and predicate. Okay, and sometimes the subject and predicates are also called as clause, and we already know about clauses. We have learnt about clauses. Now let me tell you that when we come to the end of our lessons in the textbook, I will be putting up specially videos for grammar. Okay, so I'll put up a couple of videos at least which will cover many of the topics that we have for grammar. So in this particular exercise here, let us try to understand what subject and predicate are, and then we will also see what are conjunctions, and then we will try and come back and solve these exercises. So let us start by understanding the meaning of subject and predicate. So what are subjects and predicates? Every complete sentence in English has got two parts. Okay, the one part is the subject and the other part is called as the predicate. So now what are these parts? What does the subject do? What does the predicate do? So the subject is the who or what in the sentence. So the subject is what the sentence is about. Okay, the subject is that person or that thing for whom or for which reason the sentence has been made. And what is the predicate? The predicate tells us what the subject is doing or what the subject does. So subject is important, okay, in a sentence. Predicate is also important because a predicate gives us more information about what is happening to the subject. So the subject and predicate are the two parts of a sentence. So see, every sentence has got two parts. The subject, which could be the noun or the pronoun, and the predicate, which contains a verb. Okay, now the subject, it answers the question who or what, and the predicate answers the question what about it. That is, what is the subject doing? So look at some examples here. He smiles. So who smiles? He smiles. And what does he do? He smiles. So he is the subject and smiles is the predicate. So you can see here Here the subject is a pronoun. It is he. Look at the next example. Autumn leaves twirl gently to the ground. Autumn leaves are the subject. You can see in the first sentence there was just one word which was the subject and one word which was the predicate. In the second example, you will see there are two words which are acting as the subject. Okay, that means there is a phrase which has become a subject now. And twirl gently to the ground. There is again one more phrase which becomes the predicate. Then you have the Park District will open an outdoor ice skating rink in November. So the Park District is the subject. Will open an outdoor ice skating rink in November is the predicate. So see that it is not that you can confine or you can limit the subject to a few words or the predicate to a few words. They can be many words together also. So now we know what the subject in a sentence is and what the predicate in a sentence is. Now the complete subject and complete predicate means what? All the words in the subject make up the complete subject, just like we saw here. So you have one word which could be the subject, or you could have a few words together which could make the complete subject. And all the words in the predicate make up the complete predicate. So let us see some examples. Green sneakers are on sale. So the complete subject is green sneakers. You cannot just pick up sneakers as the subject. What sneakers? Green sneakers. So that is the complete subject. And complete predicate is are on sale. That is the complete predicate. Look at the next example. Who wants a pair? So who is the subject and wants a pair is the complete predicate. My friend does. Okay. So my friend is the subject. Does is the predicate. Everyone in school is wearing bright shoes. Now all these sentences are related, okay? Green sneakers are on sale. Who wants a pair? My friend does. And then you realize that everyone in school is wearing the green sneakers. So everyone in school is a subject, is wearing bright shoes. That is the green color sneakers is the predicate. Sneakers in a way means shoes. Alright? So this is how the subject and predicate could be not just one single word, it could be a group of words as well. Let us now look at a few more examples. So the manager has changed all of his staff recently. So the manager, who has changed all of his staff? The manager. So the manager is the subject. What has the manager done? The manager has changed all of his staff recently. So has changed all of his staff recently is the predicate. Let's move on and go to one more example. The driver stopped the car. Now here you also have the object, okay? But we are not going to look at that. We are just going to look at the subject and predicate for now. So sometimes you have the direct object, sometimes you have the indirect object. We will look at them at a later date. Right now we are looking at subject and predicate. So what is the subject? The driver is the subject. What did the driver do? Stopped the car. So stopped the car is the predicate. Okay, so these are two examples. Let us look at a few more examples here now. Now you can pause the video and you can read this as many number of times as you like. So I love strawberries. So I is the subject. What do? I love strawberries. Henry laughed his head off. Means he laughed wholeheartedly. He laughed a lot. Laughing your head off is actually an overstatement. You do not laugh your head off. Okay, you laugh your head off means you laugh a lot. The tornado has crossed the state border. So these are all examples of sentences which have been split up into the subject and predicate. Okay, so now I hope the idea of subject and predicate is very clear to you. Now let us go to conjunctions. Now many conjunctions are given here on the screen for you. Try to read them. So yet is a conjunction, and is a conjunction, for is a conjunction, so is a conjunction, and but is a conjunction. There are many more. Okay, these are just some of them. So now these words, when you look at them and when you think back as how these words are used, they are many a times used to join certain words or sentences or phrases. Okay, so let us see some examples. For, we listen eagerly, for he brought news of our families. So see here, the word for is joining these two sentences together. So conjunctions are used to join two sentences or two parts of sentences. Sometimes it is used to join the subject and predicate also together. See how and can be used. She didn't speak to anyone and nobody spoke to her. So here we are again joining two clauses. They are both independent. Okay, she didn't speak to anyone, nobody spoke to her. But when you have to write it together, you use and in order to join these two sentences. So it's a conjunction, joining something. I don't expect children to be rude, nor do I expect to be disobeyed. So nor is the conjunction here. They rushed to the hospital, but they were too late. I will go shopping or I will go camping. Kelly was a convicted criminal, yet many people admired him. I was feeling hungry, so I made myself a sandwich. So, can you see this? These are all examples of subjects and these are all examples of sentences which have been joined together using a word which is called as a conjunction. Now, a conjunction can connect words or it can connect groups of words. So, see here, the sand and clay were mixed together. So, see, the and is used between the sand and the clay. That means conjunctions can connect subjects. See, one more example of conjunctions connecting subjects. Clara and Paulette studied Spanish. So, who studied Spanish? Clara and Paulette. Both of them are subjects. Just like sand and clay were subjects, Clara and Paulette are both examples of subjects. See, sometimes you can connect predicates also. Gloria washed and waxed the car. So, there are two things which Gloria is doing here. Gloria washed the car and Gloria waxed the car. So, Gloria washed the car. Gloria is a subject, washed is a predicate. So, instead of writing it twice, Gloria washed the car, Gloria waxed the car, we have used a conjunction to join them both together. So, Gloria is doing two things, isn't it? There are two predicates. So, to join these two predicates, we have used a conjunction. So, Gloria washed and waxed the car. Okay, so we can use conjunctions like and, or, but, etc. So this is about conjunctions and we also already learnt about subjects and predicate. So come on, let us try and do this exercise. So the thief stole the money and he ran away. I will not read the heading because we've already read it. What are we supposed to do here? We are supposed to separate the clauses and we are supposed to write the conjunction. Okay, so the first sentence, the thief stole the money and he ran away. So which is the first clause here? The thief stole the money is the first part of the sentence or the first clause. He ran away is the second clause. And what is the conjunction? What is the word which is used to join these two? It is and. Okay, now pause the video for a moment and try to find out the answers to the others and then come back and check with my answers. She told me that she was a doctor. She told me she was a doctor. Conjunction that. He ran fast, but he did not win the race. He ran fast. He did not win the race. Conjunction is but. The traveler arrived at the station after the train had left. So the traveler arrived at the station is clause 1. The train had left is clause 2. And what is the conjunction in this case? It is after. So you see, we saw conjunctions like and, that, but, and after here in this exercise. Okay. Now let us move on and let us look at one more exercise on coordinators. Now sometimes these conjunctions are also called as coordinators when they join two independent clauses. Okay, so independent clauses are clauses or parts of sentence which make complete sense. It is not dependent on any other part of the sentence. So let us read these sentences here. He is intelligent and he is hardworking. Asit was tired, but he could not rest. You can go for a walk or you can exercise at home. Seema has recovered from fever, so she can attend school. Now, having read these sentences and having realized that both these clauses are independent, let us quickly take a look at these sentences also. Here you will see again that all these clauses are independent clauses. The thief stole the money has got full meaning. He ran away has got full meaning. She told me has got full meaning. She was a doctor has got full meaning. So here also in the examples, the clauses are all examples of independent clauses. Okay. So let us remember that, and then we have already read these sentences. So let us read the explanation of coordination or coordinators. Each of the above sentences have clauses which do not depend on each other for complete sense. We already know, children, we have done a number of times what is the meaning of dependent and independent clauses. So these kind of clauses which do not depend on each other for making sense are called as independent clauses. They are also called as coordinate clauses, and they are joined using conjunctions like and, but, or so. And in these cases, these kind of conjunctions are called as coordinators. There are correlative conjunctions also. We are not going to look at any of them now. We are just going to look at coordinators. So what are coordinators? Coordinators are nothing but conjunctions. Coordinators join two independent clauses together. Okay. So other coordinators are as well as, not only, but also, yet, still, however, nevertheless, or, nor, else, either or, neither, nor. So all these are examples of coordinators. Coordinators are what? They are conjunctions. See, he is intelligent, he is hardworking, and is the coordinator here. Asit was tired, he could not rest, but is the coordinator here. You can go for a walk, you can exercise at home, or is the coordinator here. Seema has recovered from fever, she can attend school, so is the coordinator here. So if you, for the time being, drop the coordinators and read the sentences, they are still making complete sense. Okay, so coordinators, they join independent or coordinate clauses together, and that is why they are called as coordinators. They are conjunctions only. Do not get confused, they are still conjunctions. So children, this was about the vocabulary or grammar exercise that we have. Now we will go quickly and do the exercise which is there after the lesson. But since it is connected to the coordinators and to the conjunction that we are doing now, I have taken it here. So I need not explain this to you again. We will do this in continuation. So you're supposed to join the sentences using appropriate coordinators. So you're supposed to use but or so or and or as the case may be. See the first sentence. There was a lack of technology, so major surgery could not develop for centuries. Now I've given you the answer directly, children. For the questions, you can go to page number 86, question number 6. There, the sentences are given in two parts. For example, this first sentence is given as, there was lack of technology, full stop. Major surgery could not develop for centuries, full stop. We have joined these two using the coordinator so. Let's come to the next one now. Refer to the textbook for the question. Cardiac surgery was tried in the past, full stop. Patients did not survive. How will you combine it using a coordinator? You will write, cardiac surgery was tried in the past, but patients did not survive. The next one, He places his fingers into the master controls. Full stop. He operates all four arms of the Da Vinci. Full stop. So which is a coordinator we will use? He places his fingers into the master controls and he operates all four arms of the Da Vinci. Now the Da Vinci is what you will learn when we see the lesson, okay? It is a kind of a robot which is used for surgery. The next one, open heart surgery can help to repair heart valves. Full stop. It can also replace them. How will you join it using a coordinator? You will write open heart surgery can help to repair heart valves and it can also replace them. The next one, heart patients were treated with sedatives. Full stop. They did not survive. Full stop. So, heart patients were treated with sedatives, but they did not survive. And the last and final one, these procedures can be performed through very small incisions. Full stop. Our patients experience a number of benefits. So these procedures can be performed through very small incisions. So our patients experience a number of benefits. So children, we did a lot of warming up exercise today. We could not reach the lesson. Okay. Let us, in the first few pictures, let us take a look at what the content of the lesson is. We will not be able to do it now. I will come back with another video. But you can see here, we will start talking when we meet next time. We will start talking about how surgery was performed in the ancient times and how revolutionary changes have happened as far as surgeries were concerned. So let us end the lesson by discussing about this particular picture that you see in front of your eyes. The first thing that strikes me is that there is no electricity at all. So there is not even electricity available in those times. Okay, there is a lady holding a lamp so that the person who's doing the procedure can see. The second thing which I want you to observe is there is a soldier who's holding the patient down. And also you will see that there is the lady who's carrying his uniform and also his helmet is lying down there. The third important thing that we should notice is you will see that the patient is in a lot of pain. Can you see the expression on his face? And there are some basic things which are used here. You can see knives and things like pokers which are used in order to do the surgery. So it shows that in the olden times, there were no modern amenities or facilities at all. The patients used to be in full, you can say, state of waking. So they were not at all under anesthesia because anesthesia was not available. So when we did the exercise in the beginning, remember we did the match the following thing where you saw what all things must be happening when a person undergoes a surgery. So think back and try to imagine what differences are there in this surgery which is happening here on the screen in front of you and the surgery which the boy's friend has undergone. So with that thought, I will leave you here. I will come back very soon with the next video. Now when we do the next video, children, we will see the content of the lesson. We will learn a lot of new words. We will learn new vocabulary with relation to surgery. And also there are some, you can say, an exercise based on degrees of comparison. So we will try and understand what the meaning of degrees of comparison are. And we will also do some examples based on degrees of comparison. Okay. And there is an exercise based on coordinators, but then we have already done it now. So that will be for a later date. Okay. So I will meet you very soon now. So thank you for now. So children, wasn't that a very interesting lesson? I'm sure you learned a lot of new things in this lesson. If you have liked this video, please hit the like button and also subscribe
to my video so that you will get to see all the videos which I keep posting regularly.